Hey there, it's Jenny from Southern Savers. It's Monday night and it is our weekly Q&A. This is your chance to ask any questions that you have, money saving, couponing, whatever you want. I'm here for an hour, so ask away. If you've never joined us, you ask your questions in the comments and I will see them and answer them. So it's that simple. And just give me a little bit. Sometimes I don't get there immediately, but honestly, a lot of folks get there before I do. So you'll have other folks chiming in and answering your questions too, which is always great. It's incredibly helpful. So this is always a highlight. I love getting to chat with you guys each week. So feel free, ask away. Every week I come with a topic, and this week is a unique one. I did a couple blog posts in the past couple of weeks on selling things online, and I had someone ask, hey, could we talk about that on a Monday night Q&A? They were, I raised questions, just wanted more information on it. So sure, let's always throw out something new, something different. It's kind of fun. So that's what I'm bringing to the table tonight, but I'm completely okay with questions that are off topic. Fine by me. If you want to talk CVS, we can do that. So ask away whatever your questions might be, and we'll get there. And then I'm going to jump back and forth in trying to answer a little bit on selling things online. And in that, I predominantly am meaning things around your house. I am not meaning that we're going to walk through how to set up, your new business of selling everything you've ever owned or owned for 5 minutes online. We can totally do that, but that's not what I do. So, I think that's one where if that's what you want to do for a living, you should go to people who do that for a living and get their experience. For us, this is a great way to make some extra cash when you're cleaning out closets or cleaning out the garage. So it's just having that little bit of knowledge to figure out where the best place is to sell something or how to get the best value for what is something you no longer need, but might not be junk to someone else. We want to pass it on. And I'm totally cool with taking everything to Goodwill too. I'm not opposed to donating. So before anybody jumps on me, there's just moments where, I don't want to donate the elliptical that I don't use because I asked for a treadmill for Christmas. I would rather get some money back for the elliptical that I'm not using. We all have those moments. So that's where we want to use our time wisely. We want to get the best price that we can. So that's where I plan on us going tonight. Hopefully you'll see that that's the goal too. So Wendy's chiming in and saying, I started selling on Facebook Marketplace and I've made $1,200 so far. That's awesome, Wendy. It's kind of finding your place and finding what's working for you. So let's go straight there. And that is, where are people currently selling things? Facebook Marketplace is probably taken over some of the places that we would have gone to 10 years ago. eBay is still there. It's still very active. There are still a ton of people selling there. So while that might be your first thought, just consider Facebook Marketplace as well. I would say if Facebook Marketplace anything has taken over, it's Craigslist. So, even 10 years ago, that's where you would have posted most of your local things. I remember selling an old car through Craigslist. These are things that you can now sell through Facebook Marketplace. You really can put them on both places if you would like. That's just fine. But that's where, some folks may not realize if you're on Facebook just for a few things, there's a whole nother side to it. I would consider Facebook and Craigslist to be for local purchases or large purchases. So if you're trying to sell a car, we actually helped a friend sell a car, I guess it was right over Christmas, and posted that in both places, but really it ended up selling through Facebook Marketplace. And this is one where I wish my husband wasn't always in the corner, being secretive, because he was the one that did all of the legwork there. But that car sold really within 24 hours. He had a number of people that were interested in it, but it's about good pictures and doing your pricing right. And you're going to get that momentum from the start. So in terms of figuring out where you want to sell, you need to first think about what you're trying to sell, because not everything is going to do great on all these places. So large and automatically needs to be local. That needs to be the first thing you think of, because I am not going to ship you My elliptical, I'm not going to stick that through the U.S. Postal Service, though I guess originally it probably did, but now it's all put together. So I need someone to come pick that up. Let's start with Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. You're going to get a much better reach. And some people are going to be willing to drive for these items. So the person that we ended up selling that car to was driving through our area, headed to another area, but wanted to stop and see the car on his way through. So you're still going to end up reaching some other people, but that's where I would start first. The perks of both of those, Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, no fees whatsoever. So you're not paying the eBay almost 10% cut to list and then to process payment. There's cons to it too, though, because I don't have, a third party automatic handling the money payments there. All of that. You're selling this item, but you're not having to pay any fees to do it. So Facebook Marketplace really does kind of win. Craigslist wins there because of not having to give any of your cut. You're going to get it all back for you versus losing some to fees. And my husband's chiming in the comments, just seeing that come across too. The one perk of Facebook Marketplace over Craigslist is that you can actually look at somebody. I can look at their profile. I can see, do they even have any friends, or does this profile exist just to sit here and harass people in Facebook Marketplace? And you can leave reviews for folks. So as you sell more items through Facebook Marketplace, people can actually leave reviews on you as the seller. But you can see how they've been in past transactions as well. So a little bit more of a glimpse of people, where Craigslist, you're just dealing with their email or their phone number. So I would consider Facebook Marketplace over Craigslist for sure as you're getting into it. It doesn't hurt to post items on both places since there's no cost. Just to mention on that one too. Okay, so to jump into that, as we look at those two places to start with, they're still very different amongst themselves. So if I was trying to post something on one site with, an idea on a price, I need to get an idea of what's already there. So when we're first thinking about pricing, it's not looking at what this item is going for on eBay and then deciding to price it for that on Facebook Marketplace. I have to remember where I am, where I'm trying to sell it, and set the price based on how it is currently selling there. Amazon is a great example of that as well, because you can even sell your used items yourself on Amazon, but I can't come on to Amazon and just randomly set a price, because there could be 150 other items just like it that are selling for $5. Yours is not going to sell. It's just going to sit there. So it's being mindful of what that price is on the service that you're using to set the best price so that you're going to get some sort of movement that people are actually going to want to purchase it. Okay, so Kate says, I was shipped a bunch of the wrong ink and the company doesn't want it back. So where's a good place to even sell ink? I would honestly try Facebook Marketplace even for some of those items. Smaller items sometimes don't have movement because that's not what people are searching for in Facebook Marketplace. But you'd be surprised how many people will see something pop up and think, you know what? That's actually the ink that we use, and she's got a really good price on it. So it never hurts to post where there's zero cost to post first, just to see if you can get some movement. And then if you can't, you could try some of the online places. You can even become an Amazon seller and go that way as well if you want. Laura is mentioning she has a Facebook account just for Marketplace. So you basically set up a little side account that has no personal information to it, just because she's kind of afraid of letting people in and letting people see her personal profile. Now, you can totally lock your personal profile down to Laura, where all they're really going to be able to see is your picture. So, back end here, I can tell you from a business standpoint, because Southern Savers has a business Facebook page. If you send me a message through our Facebook page, I can see, depending on what your profile is, I can see where you live, not your address, but your city, how long you've liked Southern Savers, your picture, and maybe where you work. That would be like the most information that Facebook will ever show me. And that's even on the back end when we have interacted. We've sent a message back and forth to each other. But if you have your account profile completely locked down, I can't see any of that. And we could have talked every day in Facebook message for a year. I can still only see your picture. So in terms of the paranoia, just keep in mind, if you've really got your account locked down, I don't know that we need to go to the point of having a second Facebook account to sell things or to buy things. I don't want anyone else getting scared. It's really just focusing on the security of your Facebook account and making sure that you have it, nothing, unless you are a friend of mine, you will see nothing, then you're kind of good for most of us. Okay, so let's jump into some questions too that I've missed already because it goes by so quickly. So any suggestions for yard sales? So Judith, if you're asking to host your own yard sale, that's a whole nother kind of massive topic all on its own. But basically, yard sale wise, it's that you pre-price a bunch of stuff already. Don't just sit out there and wait for people to name a price. You're going to get a much better deal if you've stuck prices on it. Be willing to haggle on all of it as well. It's also picking the right weekends, going for good weather, going for no football Saturdays, all of that as you think about what your day and your time is. And it's quality of stuff too. It's having some furniture thrown in with a lot of smaller items. I think some of the best yard sales that we've ever had have been when we've joined in with some other families so that you can have a bigger pull and you can get more people to come by when you are advertising a larger yard sale. So that would be the quick answer for having a successful one anyway, is maybe not just your attempt at selling your garage items, but let's get a couple friends on the block to join in with us and kind of go big, and you're going to have a much more successful time. So we're ready to start purging maternity and baby clothes items. As our family's complete, we have one baby consignment store in town with a 40-60 split and one consignment sale with a 60-40. Is the consignment sale time effort worth the extra 20%? So Christy, that's a really good question. Selling consignment, I would say the big difference, 20% is huge, first off. I would say what I would look for is, in terms of that 60% split, you're going to get more back versus the other one, which is barely going to give you anything back. Do you need to do more work for that? So some consignment sales require that you work a shift, that you put in some sweat into this versus just bringing your products and dropping it off. So what I mean by that is, consignment store, I just drop it off and they do all the work. Consignment sale usually is one weekend. Someone's got to come in, they've got to set up, they've got to do all of this. So the work behind it, I would say if you can end up getting the prices that you're wanting, it's totally worth the 20%. For us, we used to be part of a twins club here in town that has a consignment sale. And if you worked it and you were part of the club, you could earn up to 80-90% back. So I would even ask consignment sales, is there a way to even get a higher percentage? If I work more shifts, can I get a higher percentage? If do you have different tiers? And I would possibly consider looking into another town and see what your options are. If you went to a bigger area that has some larger consignment sales or more options, what you might find if you looked through that too. One other consignment sale tip on this one too is that private ones, so like the Mothers of Twins Club, it's still open to the community. Everyone can come in and shop. But private ones that are not companies, that are not businesses trying to clear overhead, have a much larger percentage that goes to the seller. So whenever you are dealing with a business that's running a consignment sale, you're always going to lose a pretty huge chunk of the price of your clothing. And that, let's flip this around, trying to shop a consignment sale, I'm going to get a much better price buying clothes from a consignment sale that doesn't take a huge chunk. Because if I'm trying to sell smock dresses and you're going to take 40 or 50%, I'm going to charge more for my smock dresses because I need to get enough back to buy more clothes for my kids. So keep that in mind. Prices are going to be lower in consignment sales that take less of a chunk back from the seller, typically. So some tips there. Okay. Wendy, going along the lines of selling online, this can be a soapbox. You can get me started here, Wendy, so I'll try to not. It seems like people sometimes look down on couponing and reselling. What's your opinion on that? I am opposed to that, Wendy. So for the folks that go and they buy things, and they get them super cheap, and then they resell them. They basically start their own Dollar General. I am opposed to it. The reason that I'm opposed to it, Wendy, is not, I have a bin of stuff that I could sell online or that I could sell locally. I would rather donate it. But the real problem is that a lot of the folks that are doing this are not necessarily couponing by the rules. And so they've put a bad taste in everybody's mouth for it because they are already breaking a lot of the rules. And there's a lot of terms out there for what they're trying to do when they're couponing in the first place. And so they've already created this kind of stigma against reselling anything that you're grabbing. The other reason is that there's some liability here. So when you're going to sell toothpaste or you're going to sell products that are approved by the FDA to be used on people, they have to be required to also be stored in the right manner and to be sold within expiration dates and all sorts of things. So people don't realize the liability that they are opening up on themselves. Now, I'm not saying the FDA is going to come show up on your doorstep like Men in Black taking over. It's more just that you need to be mindful that you are entering a very gray area that the consumer isn't really supposed to be in the middle of. So that's just my take. If you want to sell them at a yard sale, a flea market, I guess go for it. For me, if I paid nothing for them, or a lot of times I made money on them, I would much rather just donate them because there are lots of people who can use them and I didn't pay anything for them. So it's not like I need to make money on those purchases. I would rather donate them. That's just my take. But we could probably discuss that until the cows came home and we'd have everybody on both sides of the fence for sure. That's just one in particular. Okay, so let's jump back in. Paige is asking, how do I know how to price something? I know how much I want to start it at. And I want to start higher to try to get the price that I want, but I don't want to start too high that it scares people off. Great question. So in terms of cars and large items, first off, always know that they're going to talk you down and be willing to have that movement. So I don't want to put a car online and say that it is this price and it's firm and we're not budging at all because that's not how people are used to buying a used car. They're used to having some haggle room with you, and you need to work that into your price. So on that one, large items, we've got Blue Book. Kelly Blue Book is out there. You can look up any of those numbers and get an idea of what that range is for cars, for campers, and all of that. For smaller items, what I would recommend is let's still look across multiple platforms page and let's get an idea. So here are some ideas for you of how you can do that. First, one that you can use if you've not already, and this is available to everyone, and hopefully, last time I tried to show you guys something on my phone did not like that it was attached to the computer. But I want to show you Amazon Seller. So Amazon Seller is, it's a free mobile app that anybody can download, but you technically have to have an Amazon Seller account to be able to use it. Now, you don't actually have to sell anything, and it's free to turn on selling in your account. So you're technically inside my Amazon account. You'll notice I haven't sold anything. But it is really helpful for finding out what prices of things are currently on Amazon without having to put a lot of effort into it because it has a pretty fun feature. So let's say I went and tried to find some fun things that we had laying around. So these little books, and in case I have any of my aunts and uncles watching, don't worry, I'm not trying to sell these. All of a sudden, like my whole family might try to riot. These little books were my mom's and her brother and sisters, and possibly their dads. I don't even know how old they are. We won't go there. We won't make them feel that old. But got these little tiny books. They sold for 39 cents originally. and I have a chunk of them. I have kind of the whole set. Now, option A is that I could try to list these on Amazon. They're books. That's what most people think of first because that's what Amazon started as, if you remember correctly. So inside the Amazon seller app, we can actually pull up the camera side. It will analyze the book, and it's pretty good. And it's telling me it's restricted because this is in the like collectibles side of things. That's why I went and tried to find something fun. It means I'm not actually able to sell it on Amazon because I don't have a history. They only let certain people sell collectible items. But I'm able to get an idea of what its value is in terms of how it's selling. And again, you know, it's restricted. There's nothing wrong with this book. So anyone that's just tuning in, I'm not trying to, you know, sell something in that sense. It's restricted in that, it is only available to certain folks. So, it doesn't even want to tell me. Let's see. Let's jump out of one that isn't technically restricted. It's the same thing. It's just not as in good condition. I'm able to see, to give you an idea of what this looks like. It shows me what the current lowest price is. Now, this doesn't mean it's not the highest price. It means if I wanted to set and have the lowest price, that's what I would have to set it at. It means there could be plenty of people who are above you, and they're selling it, you know, for $9 or $10. But if you want the lowest price, you're going to have to sell it at that price. And then it tells you what your Amazon fees would be, and so how much in the end you would end up making. So if I wanted to sell this book, and my book is in much better condition than their book, don't worry, I'm not selling it. I would have to price it at $7.50. I would lose $3.91 to Amazon, and in the end, I would make $3.58. That's if I had a really rough condition version. I mean, this one's got some wear. It is old, but you get the idea. So this is a fun way to at least get a glimpse of what is available, especially if we're looking at used items. And guys, it'll work on almost anything. So I'm going to challenge it. Let's see. And the other, you can also scan barcodes, by the way, too. You don't have to go with the camera, but it's kind of fun to go with the camera. Like, can Amazon figure out what this product is? So all you do, again, is just hit the camera and put something in front of it. I don't know. We'll see if it can get this picture. This is a kind of an old product. So this is one that I would point you to on the YouTube side. Yeah, I think it's going to fail. We found one that it couldn't handle. Or I would point you, to eBay on this guy, and I'll show you that in a minute. But so this is option A in terms of finding a price, is to start with Amazon. Let Amazon find things, taking pictures of things. Let's see if they can recognize Tom Selleck here and Magnum PI. So it's pulling it up. It won't even let me sell Magnum either. All DVDs are restricted, but I can still see how many are available too. So I can click through. I'm not going to see anything, but even on this, I can see Magnum PI third season that there are currently 9 that are for sale on Amazon. Now I scanned something earlier. If you just go through the books that you have on, on your shelves in your house, I scanned one. It said there were 347 currently for sale. This is probably not going to sell. So it gives you pretty quick whether or not this is going to work. I am not saying that you want to go straight to Amazon to sell everything. I'm just saying it gives you an idea of how competitive the market is and what the current prices are for those items. So you can start there for sure. It's free to download. You just need to turn on being a seller in your Amazon account. You don't ever have to sell anything, but you've at least turned it on to have access to the app to see kind of that back end side if you wanted to. So the other way that you can look at prices, you can always look and just see what else is currently being sold on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. That one's easy. But you can also look on eBay at the finished auctions in eBay. So if I pull something up and I want to see how it's recently gone, and that's where we were going to come in with this guy. So this is, I don't know if any of you guys remember, Southern Living at Home. Southern Living at Home used to be a multi-level marketing company. It's out of business now, and it used to be connected to Southern Living magazine. So this is a Gail Pittman picture, And I didn't look this up before we got started. So I'm going to look them up now, and I can see how it's doing. And I'll turn my screen on so that you guys can see too. So I can see how this picture is currently selling for online. And they even have it with like the little provenance of the card that originally came with it. We'll see if we can even find this particular one though. I don't know. We might not. It's a much older version. We've got lots of different kinds. But as you realize that too, I don't have any of these that match the exact one. Could potentially raise the price. You've got one that no one else is trying to sell versus one that a ton of people are trying to sell. Yeah, now keep in mind there are 4 pages of Gail Pittman pictures, and I don't know if I even have anything else to go on it. I don't remember what its name was. It's that old. But as we look at all of these, you know, if you're trying to figure out a good price for it, I can see that there are a ton here. I can see that there are a ton that are buy it now. The buy it nows are going to tell you kind of what they expect the price to be. Those folks have seen a lot of them close, and they know about what it is. But this is really where I want to go. So let me see. I'll try to make this as big as I can for you. But down here on the sidebar, you'll see a square that says, I want to see completed items. So don't actually show me the 300 pictures that are currently for sale on eBay. Show me the pictures that recently closed, whether they were bids or buy it nows. You're going to see all of that. So we check completed items, and now I can see, okay, this item closed. It closed for 25 bucks. This one closed, but nobody bid on it. It had 0 bids. So it's closing, but it doesn't mean it's sold. But it's giving you that idea of how it did, whether or not it sold or whether or not it didn't. So, oh, and you can also see it here. So ended versus sold. So this one sold for $5. So in the end, you may feel like, oh, wow, I have something nobody else can find, but it doesn't really mean that it's going to sell for a ton of money. At the same time. So it just using that completed only, you'll find it again just to show you. It's on the sidebar on eBay. That's where we are. But it's at the very bottom. And I want to just look at completed items. So this is homework in the sense of before I list anything, this is easy. This is about as easy as it gets. Show me the ones that have recently completed. So I don't have to waste my time taking pictures or deciding that this is worth selling. I'm not saying I couldn't and that I wouldn't. I'm just saying, you know, you're seeing, did it sell? Did it not sell? There's a lot there that are ended but not sold. Most of these that I'm scrolling through quickly, ended but not sold. So, you know, obviously the market isn't what a lot of us might think it is for those items. So just to kind of give you that one as another way to find a price too. One other thing to consider in terms of pricing is to not necessarily look at selling something on its own. So as I mentioned with this little book earlier, not to just sell this book, but to sell them as a set. And then all of a sudden it has more value. People not only view it as, oh wow, I'm going to get multiple books for this, but I can potentially actually make some more money. So I have 4 of them. They're all the Journey to the Center of the Earth. They're all superheroes. They're all in that line. Putting all 4 of them in an auction, you're going to end up making some more money by doing that usually. So consider putting things in sets instead of selling them individually, especially for books and DVDs, video games. All of those things are going to tend to sell better in a set. The other thing to consider, DVDs, movies in general. Before you get excited and you start cleaning out all your DVDs. So here, these guys going and digging all Magnums off the shelf. My husband would never let me sell Magnum, don't worry. I don't know. What is a big thing that you watch in your house? I don't know the last time we actually watched Magnum, but before you turn around and try to sell 3 seasons worth of DVDs, you need to actually do some homework and make sure that these are not free to stream through a large provider. Because if I can stream all Magnums for free through Netflix, these are not going to be nearly as valuable as if they had come off of Netflix and they're not available to stream anywhere. Then you've got a little bit better of a market. So just to consider that before you start, cleaning out all your movies, you could definitely try to want to, I don't know. You can look into it, but I would do some homework before you try to do that. Okay, so question. Okay, so with Amazon seller, someone's saying, I'm trying to turn on Amazon seller and it's wanting me to put in bank account information and bill $39.99 to set up a seller account. So I know when I set mine up and I did it a long time ago, and I've not ever sold anything through Amazon, that there was no fee whatsoever to do that. And I will, let's see. You can definitely do let's see, they have a free trial that you can do. You don't want to set up the professional side. You can do they do have kind of 2 tiers to it. Like you can be just an individual seller, and then they have a pro seller, or they did in the past. So you want to not go pro unless you've got some really big gram plans here. But see if that is an option. And it might be that you want to try to set this up online first and not do it on your phone. So just in case you're on your phone, that I think you might get some more options on desktop than you do on mobile. But I will go digging too if it's trying to do that. So for me, I set it up a long time ago. It was probably like a year and a half ago. I don't think they would have changed that much just in a year in how they handle it. Okay, so let's see. Sorry, I missed a question. I just see any feedback on someone's, where's the best place to order printer ink? So Sheila, we should just connect you with Kate, who's trying to get rid of printer ink. I don't know. It would be great if those just lined up, wouldn't it? For me, Sheila, I can't tell you the last time that we ordered real ink because we use a laser printer now. But we definitely go off-brand for all of it. I've used 123 Inkjets, 4inkjets.com, but I love the off-brand small companies that usually run some of the best prices that you'll find, or off-brand on Amazon even. They work fine. They'll still work in your printer. You won't have any issues, but never pay for name brand ink, or consider switching printers. That's usually the one that I give folks when it comes to ink, and switching to a laser printer, because once you switch laser, you're going to replace your toner like once a year. That's about where we are. And it costs maybe $15 to replace once a year. Okay. Christina says, can I explain Porch pickup only? Do you just leave it and hope that they leave the money, or collect the money prior to PayPal? So Porch pickup only, it really can depend on what that person means. It can be very vague, but what they are really saying is, I am not delivering it. You need to come and you need to get it from my house. It will not be delivered. I will not meet you anywhere to deliver this. But a lot of times you will still meet that person. They'll still be home. They're not going to leave their product out for anybody to grab, or have you leave money under the mat for it either. It's just about, in terms of the actual pickup side of thing, that they're not going to run all over town. So you'll see that when you've got folks that are truly cleaning out closets and they're posting, 10, 15 things on Facebook Marketplace. And a lot of times they're going to end up selling these items to their friends more than anything. A lot of times they're even posting them to their personal Facebook page, like, hey, anyone that wants this, leave me a comment, Porch pickup only, and saying, I'm not going to meet you. You need to come to me to come and grab this. But you're probably still going to have an interaction with them. And I would expect to, just so that you've handled that. There is an ability that, yes, you could have already accepted payment. You can now do payments through Facebook Marketplace. Keep in mind, anytime I take payments through most of these apps, there is a fee to do that. There's a cut that someone's going to take. So you may want to consider some others. There are a couple mobile apps that allow you to basically transfer cash with no fee. So a few of those, Google actually has a Google Send where you can send cash. There's no fee related to that. as long as you're paying through certain payments. I'm pretty sure if you still pay through a credit card, they're still going to take something for the processing of the credit card. The Cash app is available, and there's one other. I stuck all of these, so I should have pulled that link for you, but these are all in the post that we did a few weeks ago. So I will stick that in the comments too, just so you can see all of those different mobile apps for handling payment. Because yes, you don't want to take a check. You don't want to take a credit card. You don't want to take a gift card. Never accept a gift card. You do not know what is on that gift card. And they could have written the number down. So there could be $50 on it when your gift card is handed to you, but there's not $50 on it by the end of the night. So don't do that. Just cash. That's it. And then using those apps, if it's a larger purchase, for sure, is an easy way to handle that. Do I recommend porch pickup or meeting in a public place? So Heidi, personally for us, the things that we've sold, I don't really want anyone to know where we live. So we've always met people in a public place, even for the car that we were helping a friend sell. The friend had moved to New York, so we were left with this car to sell. Wasn't really part of the plan, but you're just there to help. And we live out in the boonies. I like that. I like that I'm in the boonies and that nobody knows where I am. That's a good thing to me. So we met people in a public place, and I really do think that that's the safest bet. The sheriff's department in our area actually has a parking spot with a sign in front of it that says that it is the parking spot for meeting for online sales. So, okay, perfect. If you are, if you're worried about what you're selling, I don't think you can get any safer than the sheriff's parking lot. But just a well-lit parking lot during the day, even more ideal than at night. But I know people work, so you're going to need to work around schedules, but that's what I would always recommend. Now, obviously, that is not always possible. So one of the items that is on my list for us to get rid of is an old elliptical. I am now using my lovely used treadmill that we bought off of Facebook Marketplace, but I need to get rid of my elliptical. I am not going to haul that to the Walmart parking lot so that someone can look at it and decide whether or not they want it. So in selling that, I'm now going to need to give out the address to be able to have someone come and look at it. That's a big item to just stick in the car and take somewhere. So there are moments that isn't going to work. But if it does work, if what you're selling is small, I would recommend meeting people in a public place to make that transfer for sure. It's just safer all the way around. The other one, if they do need to come to your house in terms of porch pickup, is that you do try to follow that rule. We don't need to let you in the house. So putting the elliptical, if it's in the house, putting it in the garage, or on the porch, if your porch was secure, versus letting folks that you have no clue who they are inside your house. You don't really want to go there because you don't know if this is somebody who is trying to kind of case and see what else you've got. So the door's shut and they're going to stay outside and just fully try to handle that without letting them in the front door. Not that all of you people are great. You're welcome to come in the house, but we don't know each other. So, it's nothing personal. It's just for safety. And let's see. So Jennifer says, I use the Garage Sale app and I've had great luck with porch pickup. I've never had anyone steal an item. If we do decide to meet, it's ladies only. So she says it's not sure if that's available in all areas. So that's a great one too. You could definitely try that as a true porch pickup, and that, yes, no one was there. You're going to run the risk. And I guess that it depends on what you're selling in terms of whether or not you're really comfortable with leaving it on your front porch too. Okay, so let's see. Oh, yeah, so Deborah mentions a few other places. So Mercari and Poshmark. So one thing I pulled, depending on what you're trying to sell, there are some websites that are more like consignment stores. They're not going to run exactly like eBay, and then others that are an eBay, but they're an eBay for a specific item. So Poshmark, for example, I can sell name brand items. I was looking for her name brand. So this is a Kate Spade purse. I actually bought it from thredup. So I bought it used. And you could turn around and do the same thing. So you're still going to take pictures. You're going to show what the condition is, that it, is almost brand new. It doesn't even look used. It's Kate Spade. It has the branding on it. And when you're going to post all the pictures, Poshmark is going to take a cut. That cut is actually higher than eBay's cut. So you do want to research when you're selling on some of these other sites. The smaller niche that we get, usually the higher the cut is for those niches, because they're not selling to everybody under the sun. They have a smaller clientele. They're going to have to pull their money from somebody. So Poshmark is a place to sell name brand apparel and accessories. That is all they're doing. So if that's what you've got, if you have a lot of name brand items, guys, I have 2 and I bought both of them used, and I'm not willing to sell it. These are my 2 Kate Spade purses. But just so you kind of see as an idea, if I wanted to, it's an option using Poshmark, but I would actually price this out on a few other sites. So Deborah is mentioning Mercari. You can still stick this on eBay. It's just pricing out, looking at what's selling, looking at the completed auctions. Are people buying it there, and the prices that you're getting? And is it a price that you're willing to part with it for? So through thredup, which thredup is one where you're just going to send this off and they are going to give you what they feel it's worth. So it's not really the way you want to go. You're going to get much more money back selling it yourself, but buying it from there, you can get a pretty good deal. I maybe paid like $20 for this on sale with a thredup coupon code. So if I got $20 back, I'd be good. And odds are you would if you were wanting to sell it. It just depends on how much you paid for it before you're really going to want to part with those items and lose the cut that they're going to take. So just consider that as you're pondering the other sites for sure. Okay, so another one in terms of looking at other items to sell. So if you're going furniture, anything in that realm, consider the pictures that you're taking, and the more pictures that you take, the better. If you go less, so let's say you have some furniture to sell and it's actually kind of rough, then you're thinking, maybe we should kind of hide this and we should make it look as great as we could. Guys, they're just going to get there and decide they don't want it. So in the end, you're wasting your own time. If there are stains, just take the pictures of the stains. Tell them that it is worn and that you've already factored that into the price, because it is all about not wasting your time on this one. The first thing people are going to email you for is more pictures. So if you didn't take enough, just save yourself all of that frustration and just take a bunch of pictures, max it out. And I don't even know that you can hit that on some of these sites, but go to town and you're going to find that it sells a lot better because you've taken away guesswork on people's side. They don't want to waste their time going to look at something that they decide they don't want, and you don't want to waste your time either. So just don't hide stains. Don't hide anything big. Please just take the pictures. You're going to be much happier in the end when it all works out for sure. Okay, I've got 2 off-topic questions now. So Aaron and Tatiana, trying to get names right there, both CVS questions. So Aaron, off-topic, when CVSing on Saturday and the new ad gets turned on, does that turn off the current ad? I haven't gotten extra care bucks the past 2 trips and wanted to ask before I called and said, hey, what's up with this? So Aaron, when one ad turns on, it can end up overwriting the other ad. But if it is the current ad, so the new ad has been turned on and the current ad did not give extra care bucks, really all you need to do is just tell the store that, like, hey, this is on sale right now through tonight and should have printed extra care bucks. Now, it won't double print. In other words, if this week it was supposed to give $5 in extra care bucks and next week it's supposed to give $7 in extra care bucks, I won't earn 12. But the overlap is coming in when, let's say, this week it's earning extra care bucks and next week it's on sale, buy one, get one 50% off. Then I'm going to be able to get the sale and the extra care bucks, but one of them may require the cashier to push the extra care bucks through and being printed. They do still have that ability, and they will use the code that is in the weekly ad to kind of key in this week's weekly ad to then print those extra care bucks. But the cashier should be able to handle it whenever you're shopping on a Saturday night. So if your store is saying no, you can try to call corporate, but odds are even the folks on corporate and be like, I don't know what you're talking about with this overlap. It's not really something that's built into their system that they're wanting the whole world to know about, but it does exist. So I would have the store kind of solve that for you, and they should without a problem. They're very used to it with overlap. So one other CVS question, Tatiana says, I just bought 10 Diet Pepsis last week at CVS with the offer they had, and we opened 3 bottles and they taste horrible. Has anyone else had issues like this at CVS? Should I return them? They just taste old. So it can happen. Yes, and I would return them. I mean, that can happen in any store. If you're not happy, I would return them. If you got extra care bucks for them, you will need to, they will probably factor that in. So a lot of times you're okay, but sometimes they will be difficult. The first thing you could do is just say, hey, can I exchange them? But these weren't any good. And the thing for CVS on that, before you feel bad for the store, is that most of those stores, especially when it comes to soda, they're supplied directly by the Pepsi guy who stops in and brings new Pepsis to the store. The same for the grocery stores. So if you notice when you're in the grocery store, it is not the grocery store who stocks the soda aisle and the chips aisle. Those are stocked by the delivery guys for Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So if you have a problem, you should return it to the store. And the store is going to tell the Pepsi guy, hey, somebody returned all these 2 liters and said that they tasted horrible, and the Pepsi guy can then take that back and deal with it at Pepsi's level. But in a sense, taking them back to CVS, they're not going to be out that, and they're going to kind of take it up the next level and try to get it solved so that hopefully it doesn't happen again. But they're not going to want to get stuck with it either. So they're going to make sure to kind of pass it along to the person who they feel is responsible for it. So I would totally, for the Pepsis, for sure, for any soda issues that you have, I would return them without a problem. And the same, I mean, you can return anything to the drugstores. I've seen people return lipsticks that they had already used a chunk of, and most of the time they won't say a thing. I'm not saying that's where we're going here, but if you're really unhappy with something, don't ever be hesitant to not return it. So Wendy says, if I sold on thredup, so you don't technically sell, you're selling to thredup. We have done it once. I wasn't in love with the prices that they give you. So the way that thredup works is that you get a bag from them. You get a closet clean out bag. You fill your bag and you send it in. You have 2 options. One is that you can pay to have them return what you don't want to sell to them. The other is that whatever they decide has no value, they donate. And that's up to you, and it really depends on what you've stuck in the bag. You know, if I'm going to stick this Kate Spade purse in the bag and then you're going to tell me you can't sell it, that's not cool. So it really depends on whether you've got a bunch of name brands in there or you have a bunch of, Target house brands in there, and you're going to get a feel for what they're going to give you. So you're going to send it in, be ready to get basically like 40% back on the value. So it's like you've sold it to a consignment store in town. That's just the general price that most people see from thredup, is that they keep about 60% and you get 40%. But if you wanted a quick and easy way, then you're good. You got your quick and easy way. You put it all in a bag and you send it to them and you got about 40%. I would do some homework before I stuff it all in a bag though, and at least look and make sure that that brand is something that they're selling on their site. So if you've got, I'm just trying to even think, like even we go Walmart brand on kids clothing. I don't know that they're going to end up keeping it, especially if it looks worn at all. They're going to end up donating it. So a lot of what they end up keeping are name brand items. They do consider Old Navy name brand. So you will be able to, if you've got Old Navy, Gap, any of those items, you're probably good. If they are used, they're still, as long as they don't have a lot of wear, they're still going to do fine. So just keep that kind kind of, in the back of your mind as you ponder what you're going to send thredup, but be ready to get about 40% back on the value. If you wanted to try to sell it somewhere else or sell it locally, you maybe could have done better, but they've taken all the work out of it for you. So I guess there's some trade-off there. Okay. And Nadine says, I just joined in. I wonder if you know where I could sell craft supplies. So Nadine, I would, the first place I would start there is definitely Facebook Marketplace. Another one that Jennifer mentioned earlier, which is Garage Sale, would be another good one if it's in your area. And there are some other apps that are definitely good for local sales, but Facebook Marketplace is an easy one because so many people are on Facebook. And when it comes to craft supplies, I would group those into like items and sell them as sets, basically. So if you've got a bunch of yarn, if all of that, kind of grouping it together, it's going to make for less work on your part because it's only one sale versus, a whole bunch of littles. My mom, for example, used to get quilting magazines for years. And I know in the end she ended up giving them all away. But that would be something that you actually could have grouped those items and sold them as a set, and people will buy them. But I would probably start just on Facebook Marketplace and see where you got with that. See if you got a price that you were happy with. If no one's hitting the price that you want, then you can always look specific and kind of go digging, but that's where I would start for sure. Another one that I wanted to mention before we even run out of time, even for tonight, someone asked me shortly after the original posts went up that we did on how to sell online, what about jewelry? So, talking engagement rings here, wedding rings, so legit diamonds, where is the best place to sell that? And they had found, I think it's called Worthy, as a website that's an auction for jewelry. So if you're looking into that, there are all sorts of reasons that folks are selling engagement rings, whatever it might be. If you have something that you're trying to sell that is, legit jewelry, I don't know that I would go with the auction sites. And that was kind of what I emailed back to them, but I wanted to say that as an answer too, in case that was on anybody else's mind. I did find in digging and looking at a bunch of reviews and Better Business Bureau, all of that, that there is one company, and it's kind of got a funny name, but it's Abe Moore, and you can just Google it and you'll find it. But they will actually send your jewelry in for appraisal and give you a price. If you don't like the price, you don't have to take it. But when you compare that to the price that Worthy will give you out front, most people in every single thing that I was seeing, the Abe Moore price was upwards of 30% more than what Worthy was willing to give them. So at least consider before you start to do an auction for jewelry, possibly going that route. So that company is a really large diamond wholesaler out of New York, and they will end up either, repurposing the jewelry, selling just the stone. I don't know what's going to end up happening to your ring as a set, but they handle all of that, and they have amazing reviews, even Better Business Bureau. There's nothing that's negative against them. So in the jewelry market, I would say, I have not personally tried it, but I would definitely say that it is worth looking into just based on that, because you're dealing with some large purchases. You would expect if there was some shady business there that it would come out pretty quickly online, and there isn't anything negative. So a lot of folks that have been happy with that. Okay, so a few other questions. Let's see. Yeah, so, and Nicole saying Posh takes 20% of the sale on everything over $15. So, when you're dealing with those, that's versus eBay, which is going to take 10%. So that's where I was saying, when we start to get into a niched market, like they only deal with high-end accessories and clothing, that their cut is going to be higher. So you just kind of have to be ready for that cut to come out versus the eBay cut of 10%. But I would want to just research how much is Kate Spade even selling for on eBay versus how much is it selling for on Poshmark. And, does the 20% balance out? If people are paying more for items on Poshmark, but I'm going to lose 20%, at least they paid more in the beginning. So, just do your homework as you're deciding where to place things. One other tip that I wanted to share, I had not thought of this, but this is coming from someone who is actually kind of doing a business of selling online. And her advice was with kid things. So I know that was one specific question that someone was saying, I'm trying to, or Christy, sorry, I had to go back to find her name again, purging maternity and baby items. Her big advice was before you just sell like the Exercisor or the big toy unit, whatever it might be, consider breaking it down into pieces, which I'd never thought of this, but she was totally right, because that's how so many people think. Because the individual pieces of a toy, there are people that are looking for them. There are people that are looking for the mobile that goes on the swing, or a new cover for the swing. So consider, not saying you have to list it this way, but look at what's going for individual pieces of some of these baby units, or larger toys in that realm, because you could end up making a pretty penny off of all of those little pieces instead of just selling the actual unit itself. And I loved that. I hadn't even thought of it, but it is a great tip. So an off-topic question from Paige. I bought dog food from Publix for a good price on sale, and I think that my dog's allergic to it. I have 2 unopened bags, and I was thinking of returning it, but I don't have a receipt. Do you know how Publix is on returns without a receipt? So Paige, without a receipt, in Publix, they can sometimes pull it up, depending on how you paid, but most of the time they will just give it to you on a gift card. They're usually pretty good on returns. Publix is not a difficult store at all with returns. They definitely have a customer is always right kind of mentality. Now, I mean, if you became a normal and you were in there every week randomly returning things, they might have a problem with it. But unopened, they're not going to give you any qualms whatsoever. So I would head in, just be ready to get it on a gift card. They're not going to give it back to you in cash, but you're happy with that because you're probably going to turn around and buy more stuff from Publix this week. So yeah, if your dog's allergic to it, just tell them that, and they're going to be content. Do I know if Publix tracks your purchases through the app? If so, that should suffice for proof of purchase. Goodness, I had a hard time saying that. So Publix doesn't have a way, in terms of us using our phone numbers when we log in, they're only using that for digital coupons. They're not using it for any other purposes because they've never wanted to have a card that tracked you. And so they stuck that in their fine print of their digital coupons. So I don't think that that's enough that would that they would be able to pull anything from it, because they've come out even with the digital coupon side and said that's not how we're using it. I mean, whether or not they have it somewhere in their system, I don't think that they would end up pulling it or trying to even show you that they could do it, since they've tried very hard to say that they don't have that information. So what about old records? Stephanie says, so if you've got old records, CDs, any of those that you think might be in the collectible side, I would probably go eBay first. I would look at what's selling, as we mentioned earlier. And I can pull this up for anyone that joined in late. So this was just a picture that I looked at much earlier tonight. But if you're on eBay, on the right-hand side, very bottom, you want to check, oh, my video is on top of it here, but right here in this little section is completed items. So I want to search for the records, and then I want to check the box for completed items and just see, what does the market look like on it? Are there people that are buying them? How much are they selling them for? Because you need to factor that in. Is it worth your time? Is it worth having to ship them? All of that. And are you even wanting to give them up if the price isn't there? 10 years ago, I would have said, oh, you could take them to, such and such. We were talking with our kids in the car about how things have changed. All of us that remember turtles, we could take them, to some of our old haunts. Those don't exist anymore. So you're really forced on a lot of those items to truly sell them online. Either sell them as a lot, try through Facebook Marketplace if you want to, get a price point from eBay, get how competitive it is from eBay, but then turn around and try to sell it on Facebook Marketplace yourself, just to not have the cut that eBay is taking. And then if that doesn't, stick it on eBay. That might be the route I would try. We've got some old ones as well. Makes me kind of curious. But we still have the record player, so I'm not quite ready to, cut that and get rid of them. But that is a great question in terms of items that other people might also be wanting to try to clean out. Let's see. Oh, okay. So Nadine says, am I familiar with CVS's buy 5 and get 1 free deodorant? I got a coupon for 1 free deodorant and got one for $13.99. So no, Nadine, no. I've bought a lot of deodorants at CVS too in their various deals. I've never seen that one pop up, but I'll go digging just to check it out. Kind of wonder where mine would be in all the free random deodorants. I mean, just in the last few videos, I feel like we've gotten so much ladies speed stick lately. Yeah. I haven't heard of that one though. Okay, I think so far I'm caught up on everyone's questions, but if I haven't hit your question or I missed it, I don't know, jump up and down. Make sure that I see that I missed your question somehow, and I'll try to make sure that we catch it. Okay. Yes. Oh, Erin, we went through it all. So we talked about, we actually have, if I could pull them over, right over here is a little fish tank in another room. And we have a rotary phone next to the fish tank that my husband has actually made ring. And our kids are like, what's going on the rotary phone? So we've talked about how much the phone has changed just in our lifetime, at which point we immediately felt very old. Oh, okay. He's going to get me our fun rotary phone. Yeah. So these were our phones, guys. I mean, come on. How many of us remember? And I have to say, you need to go and find, I think it's on YouTube somewhere, but some dad pranked his kids and asked them in 1 minute to dial a phone number and to see if they could do it in less than a minute. And they couldn't, because they couldn't, for the life of them, realize that you had to go all the way around to dial a number. So yeah, they failed, but it was really funny. So there you go. Look at how far we've come from here to here. And then you feel really old all of a sudden. So is there a market for this on eBay? I don't know. We own 2 of them. But I'm also married to a telecom guy who kind of thinks that they're fun. So we can pull out a lot of old telecom if we want to have a telecom night for sure. I think we even have some like cell phones that are this size around here somewhere, but that's just what he likes. So, okay. Well, we definitely hit it all. I want to, sorry, we didn't. I missed one huge chunk. So if you're going to sell things and you're going to ship them, there's one thing that I did want to show you guys. If you've not already seen this, and you're, new to the idea of selling online or getting rid of some things and you think you're going to put it on eBay, before you do that, you do need to research the price of items. And USPS.com lets you do it from the Postal Service side of things. You can also do the same thing from UPS's website, where you just get an idea of what something would cost. So you can come in and calculate a price. That's really all that you need to do. I'm not scheduling. I'm not ordering a label. I'm just getting an idea of what it would cost, and it's really quick. It just wants to know zip code to zip code. So if I'm going to put something on eBay, I have no clue who's going to buy it, but I am going to have to set what my shipping cost is when I put the item up for sale. So I don't get to pick that based on where they live. So you need to automatically decide your zip code and the furthest away zone that you can, which, for me, I'm in South Carolina, so as far away as I can get is going to be Alaska, California, going as far as we can, putting in those 2 zip codes and getting an idea. I would also recommend that you always just add $1 to whatever that amount is. Consider too, do you have a box for this item? Do I have the packing peanuts that are going to go around this item? How much is going to need to go in to preparing this to ship, because you don't want to end up cutting out on your profit when it comes to having to ship the item. You want that factored into your shipping from the get-go. Yes, some people may have cheaper shipping than you, but if people are doing this for a living and they've got a warehouse back there with 4 billion boxes and 1 million packing peanuts, that's doable for them, and it isn't for you. So I would try to be competitive on your price and try to be realistic on your shipping, a lot of people look at price and don't always do the math to put those two together. I'm not telling you to go overboard on your shipping, just realistic. So please use these calculators, at least while you're, first getting your feet wet and putting a few things online before you really get burned from some expensive shipping. And I even encourage you, if you're going to do packages, that you get out a ruler and you measure the box, because the bigger the box, the more that item is going to cost to ship. So measure all the sides. UPS is going to let you put all those numbers in to get a real, honest estimate as to how much that's going to cost. And keep in mind, if you pay online, you're going to get one price, but if I go to a UPS store, it is going to cost more to ship those items from a UPS store and pay at the store. So those stores do have an added kind of convenience fee that they get to factor in. I'm not opposed to UPS stores, it's just the truth. So you want to make your labels online. It's much cheaper to make your labels online and print them out. You can still drop them off at the UPS store if you wanted to. There's no cost whatsoever for that, but paying for them there is usually an added cost, and it can vary. So some of them may say, no, there's no added cost, but when you do the numbers, you'll usually find that there is a tiny bit that is added, and some of them it's upwards of 10%. So if you're shipping a bunch, that's a really big difference that you want to factor in. Okay, let's see. So Paige says, is there a way to limit who can see your post on eBay or any selling platform? This way you don't have to send it overseas. So yeah, you can, Paige, say that you're only willing to ship to certain areas. In the end, doesn't mean that it couldn't end up over there. Like they could have someone that's going to send it to them. But yes, you do have a way to say that you only want to ship in the U.S. or I don't know that you're able to exclude Alaska from that, but you might be able to. I haven't sold on eBay in a bit. My husband could probably chime in on that one. He was the one that did most of that for us. Is it free to use Facebook Marketplace? Yes, it is. There's no cost whatsoever. It is completely free to sell on Facebook Marketplace. The only exception is if you use their payment processing and they pay with a credit card. They do usually charge transaction fees to handle that inside their payment processing. Let's see. I think that's everybody. Okay. Yeah, Aaron, I agree. So if we wanted to get rid of our phone, we could probably sell it as a decoration to somebody. But we're happy with it, and it lives next to our fish tanks. So it just makes our fish happy, I guess, at this point. Okay, so that's everything that I had on my list. Again, and I have it all written out here. So the apps that I would recommend that are free if you're sending cash, Cash App and Google Pay Send are the two that come out to be completely free. PayPal can be if you send it to a friend and you send it as cash. But, just to kind of give you those few, let's see. So the CVS policy versus old policy. So, and answering that, sorry for missing that one. To my knowledge, there hasn't been a CVS policy change. Now, CVS has started to change the way that this computer system is taking coupons again. And that's not a new change for my folks that regularly CVS. That's, for folks that haven't been CVSing in a while, if you're getting back into it, just within the last 3 months, I'd say, the computer has started to kind of ring coupons up differently. They're always messing with the computer and the way that it rings coupons, though. Honestly, that's just where CVS has gotten in the last year and a half. But there hasn't been outright any specific policy change in how they're handling things. What you need to get in the habit for with CVS is knowing that digital manufacturers' coupons can be very iffy. They can mess with your numbers. They can mess with an extra care box printing. They can mess with all sorts of things. So using the digital store coupons, good to go. Not really going to have issues there. Digital store coupons are going to stack. Paper store coupons do not always want to stack. They do not always want to scan. For example, this week, I actually have my CVS trip mapped out, but I was waiting on my insert, so I didn't go today. I'm ready to go tomorrow. But I have a coupon for L'Oreal hair care and a coupon off of any hair care. Those I know will stack because they are both digital. They're both saved to my card. If I had them printed from the coupon center, they probably both wouldn't scan. Only one is scanning currently. So that's the difference. Some people are finding no problems. It's really depending on the amount that you purchase, but I wouldn't be purchasing the amount that would allow both of them to scan. Digitally, they'll both come off without a problem. So I would say if you're having issues with CVS, if you feel like there's been a big policy change, that it might be that you need to start to switch to your store coupons being digital, and that's going to solve some of the frustration that you might be having at the register. But beyond that, there's not been a change from CVS corporate in terms of any policies. Your store could have tried to enact a new one, but corporate themselves have not changed anything. If your store has tried to change something, like I love it when stores do this one, and they try to say, we're not taking any printable coupons, period, just call CVS corporate. It's really all that it takes, because CVS corporate offers printable coupons on their website. So the stores really aren't allowed to make that call. And they will quickly tell your store that, and they'll kind of change their tune. So hopefully you're not having that issue. But in general, just know, corporate-wise, no big policy changes that I've heard from, and I hear from them once a week. So I would feel like if something big was down, I would have heard a little bit on it, but I haven't heard a thing. So hopefully that helps. At the same time, it's probably not the answer you're wanting. Okay. I think we've caught up through everybody, and we're there. So this was a fun topic, very off topic for us from our norm, but it was fun to definitely cover something new. I'm trying to remember what I even have. So I usually have all this mapped out as to where we're going to go each week. So to pull this up really quick and try to give you what the plan is for next week, we're going to talk saving more at Target and Walmart. We haven't talked both of those stores in a while. So Target mobile app and coupon policies and all of that, and then tips for saving more on groceries. So we're going to try to bundle all of that in to next week. So I will see you guys next Monday night, same time, always 8:30. Thanks for joining me. I hope that we maybe covered something you didn't know tonight. And if you've got any tips and you joined in late and you want to put them in the comments, feel free, because they're definitely helpful, and folks keep tabs on the comments even after we finish being live. So thanks again for joining us, and I'll talk to you again, I guess next week, or when I pop in for CVS deals and Publix deals later on this week. So y'all have